Welcome. Happy Palm Sunday. So glad you could join us on another adventure with Dr. Phil. I'm not a real doctor. My friends just call me that. But that's a whole nother story for another time. Well, speaking of stories, we have one for this special day, this Palm Sunday. It's a story about a teacher, a task, and a triumphal entry. Triumphal entry? Well, hang on and you'll see exactly what that means. Well, to help us get ready for our story, I have some good words to read to you that Jesus said, and our friend John wrote them down. Jesus said this. So think of it this way. If the Son comes to make you free, you will really be free. Because the Son comes to make you free, you will be really free. Well, our story begins with a teacher and his students. And they were traveling on a path that was not so smooth like a sidewalk or the roads on which cars travel. But this road was rough at times. It would be rocky. It would go up and it would go down and it would go around the mountain and, well, it would end up in that beautiful city, the city of Jerusalem. That's where the teacher, Jesus, and his students were headed. Well, as they were traveling, their feet began to get tired. And so they stopped at a village along the way, and Jesus said to two of the students while they were just, nursing their sore, tired feet, he said, I have a task for you to do. So he looked at one of the disciples and he looked at another of the disciples, two of the students, and he said, I want you to go, continue along the path to the next village. And in that village, you're going to find not one, but two animals as soon as you enter the village. They're going to be tied up to a door. The first is going to be a mama donkey, and the second animal you're going to find is her colt, a baby donkey. Now, this baby donkey is going to be very special, Jesus said. It's going to be very special because no one has ever ridden on this colt. Think about that. Jesus says to you, go and do these things. But how does Jesus know that no one had ever ridden on a donkey? That particular donkey. Well, Jesus is very special. He's more than a teacher. We'll talk about that in a bit. So Jesus' instructions were very clear. I want you to go to the next village. I want you to look for two donkeys. I then want you to untie them and bring them back here. Now, after you untie them, don't let them run around because, well, donkeys can wander. Unlike you and me, we never wander, do we? Well, these two, bring them back here, and when you untie them, someone may ask, hey, what are you doing? You just simply respond, you simply answer them, and say, the Lord has need of them. The Master needs them. And they will not give you any more trouble. So, the students went on their task. Do you remember what their task was? That's right. They were to go to the next village. They were to find two donkeys, a mother and her young child, a colt, a very special colt on which no one had ridden. And they were to untie them and bring them back, and when questioned, they were to answer, "The master has need of it." Well, do you think our students did exactly what they were told? How about you? Do you do exactly what you're told? Not always. Dr. Phil doesn't always do what he's told either. So, well, on to the story. So our students in the story, they did exactly what they were told. They went to the next city. They found the two donkeys. They untied them. And sure enough, just like Jesus said, somebody came out and said, "Hey, what are you doing? What's all this?" The master has need of them. Well, if the master has need of them, then peace be with you. And so our two disciples headed back to Jesus with the two donkeys. And when they got back, it was now time for the triumphal entry. Remember where our path was headed? Remember it was headed to that beautiful city? The path headed to the beautiful city where there were buildings of all shapes and sizes. There were some that were tall and some that were small. And, well, there was one that was the most beautiful, I like to think, of all. That building was called the temple. The temple, that's the place where God would come and visit with his friends. Well, this triumphal entry that had the teacher after the students completed their task, this triumphal entry was really more like a parade, a parade fit for a king, a parade fit for a king. And you see, our two disciples who had done exactly what Jesus asked, they took off their coats and they put their coats on the young colt, the baby donkey, the one on which, that's right, no one had sat. And they helped Jesus up on the colt, and off started the parade. It was not a parade like we would have with, let's see, floats or flag bearers or even fire trucks. It wasn't that kind of parade. It was a parade fit for a king headed to that beautiful city. And along the way, others would take off their coats and put it down on the path so that it was smooth and comfy for the colt who was carrying the chosen one of God, Jesus. And there were others who, well, they didn't have a coat to put down, so they cut down branches from trees, maybe palm branches. And they lined the road so that the colt would have a smooth place to walk. Well, when the king arrived in the city, the people were so thankful, so happy. They were saying, "Hosanna! Hosanna! Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord." Hosanna. Well, that's a strange word, but that's what the people said. The story goes that not everyone was so happy to see Jesus. There were some who, they questioned, who is this that's raising all this ruckus? What's all this brouhaha? What's going on here? Who is this? Why, this is Jesus, the parade followers said. Jesus. We'll have to look into this. Well, how about you, my friends? How about you? Have you looked into Jesus? Remember, we had heard at the beginning that because the Son came to set you free, you will be free indeed. And that word Hosanna means save, please, or save, please. Save from what? Well, save from sin, those bad things we think and say and do, and we get all tangled up into sin. We see that there are bad things in our minds, and well, they come out in bad words, or they come out in bad actions. Sin is those bad things we think and say and do. And Jesus came, the Bible tells us, even he himself said that he has come to set us free, to make us have clean hearts, nothing bad in them at all. So how about you? Remember our stories about a teacher, Jesus, who was more than just a teacher. He did amazing things. He helped blind people see, helped deaf people hear. He set people free from the bad things they think and say and do. He saved his people from their sins. Jesus never had any sin of his own. He was absolutely perfect. He always did what his Father had asked, his Father in heaven. That's the task that Jesus was always about. He came to do something for us that we could not do for ourselves. Well, how about that triumphal entry? Well, yes, Jesus did exactly what he was told. He willingly gave his life. He died on a cross, was buried in a tomb, and rose again. After 1, 2, 3 days, Jesus rose again and walked around the earth for a number of days. And then one day was taken up into heaven. But Jesus promises that he will gloriously, grandly return. There will be another triumphal entry of the King coming to earth. Well, how about you? Is Jesus your King? Is Jesus your forever friend who has set you truly free from sin? I really hope so, because Jesus really wants to be your forever friend, to enjoy a forever friendship with him and be in that forever home one day. So I hope that Jesus is your forever friend who has truly set you free and given you a clean heart. Thanks for joining us on this Palm Sunday. Bye for now.